Good evening and welcome to the BBC's News at 6. The violence in Syria has reached the heart of the regime, claiming the lives of key members of the country's ruling elite. President Assad's brother-in-law and the country's defence minister are reported to have been killed today when a bomb exploded inside the headquarters of the National Security Organisation. It follows 4 days of clashes in the capital, Damascus. Caroline Hawley reports on what some are seeing as a turning point in the conflict.
On state-run television, mouthpiece of the regime, a message of defiance, as the authorities announced that a bomber had attacked the very heart of the country's military establishment. The dramatic news came this morning. No images released of the headquarters of national security, but the defence minister seen here during recent military exercises was quickly confirmed dead on television. He'd been meeting with other senior officials from Syria's secretive security system. It's a devastating blow at the very heart of a regime presided over by the Assad family for over 40 years. Two of the key figures are Bashar al-Assad himself and his younger brother Maher. Then there was the husband of their sister Bushra, one of the architects of the government crackdown, the feared Asif Shaukat, killed today. This is about as close to the inner circle of President Assad as it's possible to get, and it's a fight for survival now.
This is a decisive battle. It's a decisive battle not only in Damascus, but in Syria as a whole. They are wrong to underestimate us.
For months there's been fighting in towns and cities around the country, but in the past few days it's come to Damascus itself. A major escalation in the conflict. 16 months since a peaceful uprising against Bashar al-Assad began, the battle is now on his doorstep. The capital, once deemed impregnable, has seen fighting which began on Sunday in the Tadamun neighbourhood. As rebels build their campaign Operation Damascus Volcano, the battle spread to the area of Al-Midan and further north as well. A military barracks close to the presidential palace was set on fire just hours before the attack on the headquarters of national security.
This is, as I believe now, the beginning of the end of this regime. The regime still has some power to continue killing Syrian people, but this is the natural escalation of the struggle of the freedom fighters in Syria.
But the Syrian army is still strong despite a string of defections, and on state TV it's promising to fight back. The international community is still grappling with how to respond.
This is a situation that is rapidly spinning out of control. And for that reason, it's extremely important that the international community, working with other countries that have concerns in that area, have to bring maximum pressure on Assad.
But what the diplomats are doing is increasingly irrelevant to what's happening on the ground, where the rebels have been given a major boost. The Syrian crisis has now entered a new phase. Caroline Hawley, BBC News.
And our security correspondent Frank Gardner is here with me. Now, I know we've got to be careful about these things, Frank, but some people are seeing this as a turning point in the conflict.
I think it certainly marks the most serious threat yet to President Bashar al-Assad, because, as Caroline was saying there, Asif Shaukat is the closest you can get to the president other than his wife and his brother Maher, or possibly his mother. He was the power behind the scenes in many ways. He's got a political intelligence and security background. So it's really a triple blow. It's a blow to the family, it's a blow to the personal command and control that he'd built up, and it's going to make people in that regime look over their shoulders and wonder, where's safe, where next? So in that sense, it's troubling. But the general that we heard speaking there earlier, who I met earlier this year, several months ago, he was saying it was the beginning of the end. For 16 months, people have been saying it's the beginning of the end. So I think we should be a little bit cautious. Russia is still very much perhaps blocking tougher action diplomatically, but on the ground, things are moving. And I think that we're going to see a different evolution in the next few weeks. It does seem to be escalating, most certainly.
All right, Frank, thanks very much. Thank you. The latest figures for unemployment show it's fallen for the fourth month in a row to just under 2.6 million. But the number of people out of work for more than 2 years has risen to a 15-year high. And with forecasts for the economy still looking gloomy, the Chancellor, George Osborne, has announced a new financing deal aimed at boosting expenditure on big infrastructure projects. Here's our economics editor, Stephanie Flanders.
2 years ago, Leanne Meller was an unemployed graduate who liked drawing as a hobby. But with a bit of encouragement from her local job centre in Sheffield,